right now. So I'm going to post the YouTube link in the chat box so you can share with your friends. Oh, someone's from Zamfara. Oh, wow. Wow. Thank you for joining us. So, hello everyone. Good morning, listening to us from. My name is Faidat Badamosi. That's my picture on the screen. And then I'm a 2019 I Scholar. Please, can you show the slide? Yes. So thank you. My name is Faidat Badamosi. I'm a 2019 I Scholar, and I graduated from the University of Ibadan. And I currently volunteer with ISI, and I also serve as the operations manager of I Scholar Initiative. And I'm going to be the moderator for today's session. So thank you so much for registering and for being here, for joining us early. I know that by the end of the 2-day webinar, you leave here with so much confidence. But before that, we know this session is courtesy iScholar Initiative. So I'd like to tell you a bit about iScholar Initiative. Next slide, please. So iScholar Initiative is a charitable organization that is registered in the USA, and we seek to mentor and empower young African students in fulfilling their dreams through providing them opportunities for graduate studies. So how do we do this? Currently, we support students with finance for their standardized tests like GRE, GMAT, TOEFL, LSAT, and also provide mentorship for our scholars. And our application recently closed. Well, not recently. We announced the winners for this year recently. So beyond funding about 50 students every year, we also try to provide mentorship support, not only for our I scholars, but also for everyone. And this is one of the ways we try to provide mentorship support by organizing webinars like this, programs like this. So that's what iScholar Initiative is really about. You can follow us on all our social media pages. We have a lot of great content, particularly relating to grad school, which I believe would really, really help you. So to the business of today, before we begin, I'd like to drop a poll, which I would want you to respond yes or no. It's going to pop in your screen soon. So okay, so before it pops up, so can you see my poll on your screen yet?
No, not yet.
Okay, so it's gonna come up soon. So I need to also mention to us that our facilitators today, excitingly, they are also I scholars. So they've passed through all the stages of grad school application and all that. So you should know they'll be sharing from their wealth of experience and wealth of knowledge throughout your journey. Next slide, please. I'll fix the poll soon. So our topics today, day one, would be going through selecting the right schools. It is very, very important. This is very crucial in your grad school journey. As much as we want to go to our dream schools, yeah, we also want to go to top schools. We want to go to schools that are ranked number one. We also want to make sure that we are selecting whatever school we'll be attending for the right reason, not just because of the ranking or something. And next topic would be emailing prospective supervisors, cold emailing. So we all know that sometimes professors advertise positions on their social media pages. They call for students and all that. How do you approach this kind of people? And not even those that apply that advertise on their social media pages. There are some schools that will tell you you need to secure a supervisor before you apply to our school. So what kind of email do you send to them? How do you compose such emails? We'll walk through all of that. Then we would also be going through the statement of purpose. You could have a 340 over 340 in the GRE, 120 over 120 in TOEFL, if a 5.0 GPA, and then the statement of purpose is probably not good enough, you most likely would not get, because grad school application is like an holistic review of your portfolio, everything in your portfolio. And then so tomorrow, day two, we're going to start with the GRE. A lot of people feel the GRE exam is very hard, it's very difficult, it's tough. Can I do this? It's math, it's only for STEM people, it's only engineering guys that can do well and all that. No, you can actually do it, because I always tell people the GRE is easy. It only requires consistent practice. So we'll go through the GRE quant section. We also have another session on acing the GRE, AW, analytical writing, and verbal section. Please, it would be great if we can mute ourselves if we are not speaking. So we have very great section. So after the GRE, would also
Trying to write
go
enter
through
my
acing the TOEFL, the test of English as a foreign language. Oh, please can we mute? Oh my God. So we'll also go through TOEFL, test of English as a foreign language. I'm sure we would wonder why are we testing our English language again when that's what we've been speaking since when we were in the womb. But sometimes this is still part of the requirement for some applications. Then would also go through the academic CV. So a lot of us, most times, the CV we submit for our applications, it would contain things like date of birth, state of origin, marital status, and all that. And even sometimes it's not focused. That's why we're calling this academic CV. So it's academic, it's for academic purposes. So one of us would walk you through how your academic CV should look like and how you can build it. And finally, would take you through grad school interviews. So you've done everything from the beginning. You've selected schools, you've emailed professors, you've applied and all that. Then they now send you an email. Would you be available for an interview? Then you start shaking. How would I do this interview? What do I need to do? What will I say? What kind of questions will they ask? What responses should I give? And all that. So one of us would take you through acing grad school interviews. And I'm sure that at the end of this program, you would leave here. I can't find the words, but please, I'm launching the poll now, and I would want you to give a response. Thank you. In 15 seconds. Yeah. Can you see the question? You just need to select one.
Yeah, I can see it.
So very well we can see.
Okay, still waiting for more responses. Please, whose audio is that? Who is Daniel? Please don't unmute. Okay, great. I really love what I'm seeing here. Oh, I'm so sorry about the grammatical error there. I typed that too fast. I just read it. Okay, great. So I'm ending the poll now. So the question, do you believe you can win fully funded grad opportunities? And here I have 100% yes. So it means that you all have the energy and you need to keep that energy. I mean, I really like that energy that everyone believes that they can actually you can win any opportunity, whatever you set your mind to, you can achieve. Next slide, please. So before we go on, at iScholar Initiative, about 20 high scholars decided to create a book that would serve as a compass for any prospective grad school applicant. So in this book, we outlined the process right from the beginning to the end. If you've gotten this book, please say yes in the chat box. And if you've not, please visit our website. I'll post the direct link for you to download a copy of the book. So it's a really great book. It also has various templates for your CV, recommendation letters, I think emails to prospective supervisors and all that. So it's a really great book. And when you're done using it, please post your success story and tag iScholar Initiative. We really want to celebrate you. So next slide, please. Next slide. Yes, so to the business of the day would be starting with selecting the right schools. And our facilitator today is Samuel Ipiomi. And Samuel is a 2020 iScholar and graduate of Usmanu Danfodio University, Sokoto. Samuel received a lot of fully funded PhD offers in the United States. And one interesting fact about his journey is he started in 2016. This is 2021, that's 5 years. It just shows how resilient Samuel has been. And this is to let you know that this journey is not a smooth one, but with your resilience, it would be a very you'd be successful in the end. So Samuel, please, you're up.
All right. Faidat, thank you very much for that introduction. Hello, can you hear me, please?
Yeah, Baba, we can hear you.
Yes, they
All
can hear
right.
you.
Yes, can hear you.
Okay, yeah, thank you very much. Evening from this end. Faida, thanks for the moderation so far and for the introduction. All right. Like she said, I am Samuel Ikpinyomi and I am a, okay, thank you. I'm a 2020 beneficiary, iScholar 2020 beneficiary, and I'm going to be taking us through selecting the right school. That's the section I'll be handling. And I will be doing this with a bit of my experience. I'll be mixing my experience with what I'll be telling us. So just chill and when you have questions, I believe there'll be sections for questions. You can always ask questions. All right. Okay. There are a number of world-class foreign universities that one can apply to. For instance, in the US, you have over 4,000 universities that you can apply to. So you have this range of many options, but most of the time where people um, have issues with is selecting the right school. So you
I do
have
not
to be
see. I want to speak.
you have to be strategic in selecting the right schools, because this is like the foundation of the entire process. It's like you want to build a house, you must start with the right foundation.
Eh?
If you don't get the
No, I want
foundation
to. I'm
right,
going back to.
if you don't, please can you kindly mute
Please mute
yourself?
all of us. Please mute all of us so we can hear him. Oh.
All right, just in a minute, please. Okay, so like as I was saying, picking the right school, it's like you're building a house. So you want to lay the right foundation. You can't lay the foundation of a bungalow and expect that you want to build a skyscraper. It won't work. You're only building to collapse. So you're going to, once you get the right school, once you get this part right, I tell you, your journey will be successful. So the next slide, please. Okay. The first process in selecting the right school is you need to search. The first question you need to ask yourself, what are the schools I need to apply to? And how do I know them? How do I know these schools? I have a few recommended sites. This is not a rule of thumb, but these are recommendations from my own end based on my experience and experience of few others that I've also interacted with. And one of the sites is topuniversities.com, and the QS World Rankings are the owner of the site. Then you have the Times Higher Education site. You have the wwusnews.com. So this site would give you schools based on their ranking. One interesting thing about this site is that you can also look for schools based on your subject area. For example, maybe you are a chemistry student, you're a chemistry graduate, and you're looking for schools that offer chemistry. Not all schools offer chemistry. So you just go to the site, you enter your subject, or probably a specific area in chemistry, you can just enter. It's going to give you a list of schools. You're going to see hundreds, if not even thousands of schools that offer this particular that offer your program or your area of interest. So the QS and the Times Higher Education will give you sites for all, will give you list of universities of the world, while that of the US will give you that of just US schools. So don't mind me, I might be tilting towards US a bit because I believe majority of us here um, uh, have US as one of our topmost priorities. So that is that about searching schools. So these are recommended sites, like I said. There are other sites that you can also visit. To the next slide, please. Okay. Another interesting site that you can also visit is the msinus.com. Yes, msinus.com is an interesting site that you can visit and get schools that offer your subject areas. One way again that you can get to know schools that offer or get to choose schools that you can apply to is through publications. Um, one thing, one thing about this journey is that you are going to read a lot. You are going to read a lot. So one of the things you'll be reading research papers. And on research papers, you get to know authors and their affiliated institutions. So maybe you read a paper and then you see a work that you see somebody that, wow, you say you like this particular person, you see the name of the institution of the person attached. So you can also pick schools from research papers. A good place you can also pick schools from is from the social media platform. like Twitter, like LinkedIn. And then finally, among my suggestions, you can also get your schools through recommendations. Recommendations from your academic mentors, your advisors, or your senior colleagues. Um, Personally, I most of the schools I picked when I was applying to the US were based on recommendation. You just hear, oh, I talked to some of my lecturers and I said, okay, sir, I want to apply to grad school in the US. Please, which of these schools will you recommend for me? Or which of these schools will you advise that I pick? So I get reply that, oh, Sam, okay, fine, you can pick Iowa State University, you can pick University of California, UC Davis, you can pick University of Florida, Gainesville, you can pick University of Nebraska, Lincoln, So these recommendations could come from your lecturers, it could come from your senior colleagues, or maybe your seniors in school that have traveled to the US, UK, Australia. You can tell you, okay, you can pick these schools. These are good schools for you to apply to. So that is brief about how to choose or how to pick your schools of interest. The next slide, please. Yes, sir, the next slide. All right. Now, when you are done picking schools, I've said that I've talked about recommended sites and other ways by which you can pick schools. When you are done picking schools, the first list you're going to make is called the extended list. I'll be talking about three types of lists in this my section. So the first list that I'm going to talk about here is the extended list. So this list contains the total numbers of schools resulting from your search. Other info. For example, you pick, let's say, Stanford University. You want to get other info that is attached to this school or to your program of interest in this school. Say, for example, what is the GRE requirement? What is the TOEFL requirement? Do they require GRE? Because some schools are actually GRE. If yes, what is the minimum score? Some schools will tell you we don't take below 310, 300. Some will not specify. Some schools will tell you, okay, TOEFL, fine. We accept TOEFL, but you should not have a minimum of, say, 26 or 24 in the speaking section. So these are the details you need to go. And how can you know, how can you get this info? You need to go to or the program website and get these details. You also want to know if your area of interest or the program you're applying to will need you to secure a potential, you need you to secure an advisor. There are programs that they don't need you to secure an advisor before you get funding. So some programs need you to first secure an advisor. In fact, as a matter of fact, most of the schools in US, most of the schools, not all anyway, most of the programs you'll be applying to will need you to first secure a potential advisor. So, and so many other info you can add. You can also add things like weather condition of the place. Maybe you have a preference to weather. Like some people like a place that is just fairly warm. Some people can survive in cold weather conditions. So they don't have issues with.
Bro, F1 to
Please, can you kindly mute yourself? All right. So, like I said, you need to get, so basically the academic information you need can be gotten on the program website or the departmental website. And let's say weather condition or maybe acceptance rate, you can just Google it. Okay, so school plus acceptance rate. Google will give you the info. So in the next slide, before we go to the next slide, you can make a list of, say, 20 to 30 schools. Some do even as many as 40 or even 50 schools. But one thing about the extended list is that as time goes on, you keep downsizing it, you keep cutting out some schools, you keep cutting out some schools. So in the next slide, I'm going to give you a sample of how I made my own extended list. The next slide, please. All right, fine. Okay, this is a sample of my extended list in 2020 when I came back to pick the pieces up. You know, when the moderator was introducing me, he said I started my program some few years ago. At some point in time, I had to drop it. And so in 2020, I decided to pick the pieces up and start afresh again. So this is how I made my extended list. It's like a guide. It must not be exactly like this. So I designed a spreadsheet on Google Doc. And what I did was that I came up with different columns, and the headings of columns. I have university, the universities that are resulting from the list of universities that I got from my search. Then I have the country where they are located, the country. Majority of the universities I have here are based in US and a few in Canada. So you have a list of country, then you have a column where you indicate which graduate program.
Hello, suppose
Sometimes
can you tell one of the moderators to remove the icon on the screen? We can barely see the inscription.
okay. You mean the heading? Are you talking about the heading, please?
No, I mean the
Not to
markings on
worry,
the
it's
screen.
off.
Okay.
Yeah, it's away already. We try to
All
make sure it
right.
doesn't appear anymore. Please, if you want to, please everyone on mute yourself. If you want to speak, please use the raise hand icon on Zoom, or you can just put it in the chat box. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that, Faida. So, like I said, this is an extended list. So you have a column for country, you have a column for the graduate program. Sometimes your graduate program or your intended program might differ from one university to the other. I'm a bit into the biological sciences, so most of my program were within that field. So you might have a little variance among your programs. So you indicate there's a column for that. Then there's a column for contacts. Who are you to contact if you want to get further information? In certain departmental website, they will tell you, okay, this is the name of the program coordinator or the departmental head or the graduate coordinator, and this is the email of the person. So you can ask questions like, if you have any, maybe something is not, you are not clear about the info on the site, you can just shoot an email and say, dear sir or dear Dr. So, I'm a bit confused about this requirement. Can you please shed more light on it? So there's a column for someone you can contact, and so on and so forth. There's a column for what's the minimum CGPA, is there requirement for TOEFL, GRE, and all of that. As many info you know can guide you in coming to making the right selection as far as school is concerned. Please just do well to include it in this extended list. It's going to help you. I mean it. It's going to help you. And one other important information I want to add here is priority deadline. When I started the graduate school application in 2016, one of the mistakes I made was that I did not take note of priority deadline. So schools that actually close, the priority deadline actually is the deadline where you'll be able to secure funding as an applicant. After that deadline, your chances of securing funding is very, very minimal. In fact, they consider those people that applied before the deadline. So when I applied almost 2 or even 3 months after the deadline. I did not take note of the priority deadline. So it was really devastating. And I paid application fee. I've sat for the exams and then I still pay application fee. So I want you to take note of the priority deadline. In the US, most of the schools, their priority deadline, I think, is for the early ones, I think December, I think first week of December also. So I want you to also take note of that. So this info will make up your extended list. All right. So the next slide.
Sorry to interrupt, Samuel.
Yeah.
Please try not to make marks on the screen. I think that's why that information is coming up. So Afis, please, can you reshare? Thank you.
Okay. All right. Sorry.
Please try not to make marks on the screen.
Oh, all right. All right. Sorry. Okay. Okay. Sorry, please. All right. Okay. So that is that with the extended list. The second list I want to talk about is your standardized test list. From your from your extended list, you can come up with your GRE or your TOEFL list. From your extended list, you can come up with your GRE or TOEFL list. And this list just have 4 schools. So probably some of us would have seen this outside this place. I also make use of this formula. It's called the 1-2-1 formula, specifically for the GRE. So the 1-2-1, one school, you pick a school, or you pick one of your schools, one of the 4 schools you'll be picking would be your target school. 2 will be your rich schools, and 1 will be your safe school. What is the target school? The target school are schools that you've measured, you have your academic portfolio, or you have your profile. You can weigh it with what you see on the departmental website, or probably you can also weigh the portfolio of those that are already in that same program that you're applying to. So if it's most of the time for this target school, for example, you have Ivy League schools among the target schools, say schools like Cornell University, Johns Hopkins University, Stanford University, Harvard, MIT, and all of that. They are target schools or dream schools. So when you weigh your profile and it looks like it's either you're slightly below average of those that are in the schools, or maybe you're at par, something like that. So those schools, you could categorize them as target school, and they are highly competitive, highly competitive. Now, the rich schools are the schools that your academic profile fits in. For example, let's say you've written your GRE. Let's say you've written your GRE and you had a score of, let's say, 310. And in your rich school, maybe they might say, okay, we just need a minimum of, let's say, 300 or so, or maybe 305. You can categorize, I'm talking about with respect to GRE now, you can categorize those ones as your rich school. When you check your academic profile in whole, let's say CGPA, your GRE, your TOEFL scores, and all of that, and you discover that you match those schools, you categorize those as your rich schools, and it's advisable you pick 2. And then you have the safe schools. The safe schools are the schools that you have a higher profile, like your academic profile. It's usually better than what they require, or better than the profile of those already in the same program. So you categorize that as your safe schools. So this is not a rule of thumb, but is advisable. Now, there's a big twist to this GRE list. For example, things could happen. I tell people that when you write exams, so many things could affect your outcome. You could prepare well, and maybe you did not get the score you want. So I know in GRE, you once you are done and your verbal and your quant score is out, you have this choice of, you can enter your schools. So if you discover that your GRE score, I'm not wishing anybody bad, but anything could just happen, and you discover you did not get what you want, You can leave away certain schools and just deal with maybe real schools, or you can include more safe schools into it. So it could change, actually, it could change. So that is that about the formula for entering your GRE, the list for your GRE schools. One thing again also about things like the TOEFL scores is I know when I wrote my TOEFL, I know I was targeting a school, I think University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign, and I think their speaking score was 28. And funny enough, I did not get up to 28, but I love the school. I like their program there. So when I discovered that I did not get up to 28 in the speaking section, I think 26 or 28, I had to forgo that school. So things could change when you write your standardized test. So that is that about the GRE TOEFL list. The next slide, please. All right. Okay. So this is the list you will finally work with. I've talked about the extended list, the GRE list. This is the list you will finally work with. Now, it's not a rule of thumb, but so that you can concentrate. I'm not a fan of you lay your eggs in many baskets. No, no. I'm a fan of you lay your eggs in few baskets and you see how you can guard them. So our advice that your school should not be more than 10 schools. Your final list that you should work with should not be more than 10 schools. Should not be more than, is an advice, please. It should not be more than 10 schools. And how do you come to this, your final list? We get to know it in the next slide. All right, the next slide. Okay. Okay. So how do I arrive at the final list of my school? Somebody else will be talking about the code maze, so I won't dwell on that. So somebody will tell us how we can, shoot code maze that are catchy and of your so. So, but the point I want to raise here is that advisors and possibly head of departments or even program coordinators. One of the reasons why you're shooting to head of departments or program coordinators is to inquire about funding, or maybe to make inquiry, okay, this is my profile, this is my GRE score, this is my CV, what's my chances of being admitted into your program? Can you please evaluate me? So the responses you get when you mail potential supervisor or the heads of department will now determine your final list. So if you get a positive, some people will just say, okay, hi, Ben, your profile is good, your CV is very impressive, but unfortunately, I'm not having funding. So there's no go area there. Or some will say, okay, fine, your CV is impressive, you have a good academic profile, but my lab is full. Like I've reached maximum capacity. I can no longer recruit graduate students. So in that particular school, or that from that end, you can't continue with the application. And there's something I skip. I would advise that before you pick a school, also check that you have at least two to three faculties that are in that whose interest, in which your own interest matches with their own. I'm talking about their research interest. If it's just one, it's very, very risky. So you should have like two or three, so that in case one doesn't pick you, you can always mail the order, or you can mail orders that are of that have your research interest. So that is that about making your final list of school. You shoot your code mails, then based on the response, you now make your final list. And okay, to the final slide. All right, so this is a recap on just all I've said. The first thing you do is you search for the schools. I told us you can use recommended sites like www.topuniversities.com, which is owned by QS. You can use the Times Higher Education sites. Those sites give you program based on rankings. You can also, pick schools based on research and publications. You can pick schools from social media platforms, say Twitter, LinkedIn. I'm always on LinkedIn, so you can always, just search a particular program. It will give you a list of maybe graduate students in some schools, that are already offering that same um, course or that same subject area in which you're interested in. So the next one is that you prepare an extended list. And for you to prepare an extended, you need to go to the departmental website for you to have more info so that you can have a comprehensive list. Like I said, the extended list will be downsized with time. Then you have a list of schools for your standardized test, your GRE, your TOEFL. And I said that is an advice anyway, not a rule of thumb. 1, 2, 1. The one for your dream school, the two for your real school, and then the one for the safe school. And then finally, you can now make your finalists. How do you come about your finalists? You shoot your code mails. When you shoot your code mails, you wait for responses. Your responses will now determine which school you will finally work with. So that is that about selecting the right schools. I hope we'll be able to get 1 or 2 points. And if there are any questions at all, when it's time, please, you can just do well to ask, or you can just write it on the chat box. And like you heard, I'm also a scholar like you. So I'm an high scholar. I'm just entering. I'm just beginning the graduate school. So from my little experience, I can give. And if there's any other thing that needed to be added, I believe somebody else will also add to shed the light. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Samuel. That has
Yeah.
been so amazing. I'm sure that everyone now sees that selecting schools for. Before I continue, please, everyone, mute your mic. So this meeting has been set in such a way that when you join the session, you're on mute already, but we see people that keep unmuting. I don't understand. Let us have a very smooth and amazing session. So so Samuel, thank you so much for that.
Yes,
I've seen that. I hope we've seen that selecting schools is beyond just ranking. You need to be very strategic. That's why you have that ratio 1-1. You need to be very strategic. You don't want to apply to just your dream school and then end up not going to America in that year or going to your intended university in that year. That's why safe schools sometimes they save us. Safe schools save us. So we'll just have 10 minutes for questions. Please don't unmute. Please just type your question in the chat box. I'll read your question out. Please type your question in the chat box. I'll read your question out. So the next session would be, while you're typing, I'll telling you about what the next section will be. The next section will be about cold emailing prospective supervisors. Our tech guy, please don't display this yet. So please put your questions in the chat box. And to those watching us from YouTube, please put your question in the live chat over there. I'll read it out. Please, let's stop making marks on our screen, because that's why that information keeps coming out. That information of please, this. It's because we are making so many marks on the screen. So please, let's stop doing that. So the first question from Godwin Smart: did you do MSc before getting the PhD? So I believe he's asking, do you have MSc before applying for your PhD? Samuel?
All right. Okay, I should answer, right?
Yes, please answer.
All right. That question is coming from Godwin, right? Godwin, I actually
Yes.
I did MSc, but MSc is not a yardstick for you to get into the PhD in the
Yeah.
US. So you can, from your BSc, you can always move directly to PhD. And the thing is, there is more funding with PhD. So it's advisable when you are applying to the US schools that you should apply directly for a PhD program. If you apply to MSc, you have a limited chance because there's less funding. There are less funding with MSc
Yeah.
programs. So if you have a BSc,
That's true.
fine, just shoot for a PhD program. And if you have an MSc, then good. You have nowhere to go. Just go straight to the PhD program.
Yes.
So that is
To but
that's the point.
okay. Thank you so much. To buttress what Samuel has said, yes, you can actually get offers from a PhD. So 70% of us that will be facilitating the session throughout this webinar, we are actually going from a BSc to a PhD. And another interesting thing is we have high scholars amongst us that they didn't have first class in their BSc. They had 2-1, but like I said in the beginning, it's an holistic review of your portfolio. So you can actually get a from a BSc to a PhD without doing MSc. I didn't do MSc. Please don't unmute yourself. Thank you. So then we'll take 2 more questions. Samuel, please, what was your GRE?
Yeah, I can hear you.
You just mute everybody by yourself as the host now, so everybody gets to unmute.
Can you please mute
Exactly.
Why that you're muted?
We can't hear what you're saying though.
Oh, we've been muting everybody since, and we even set this meeting to mute everyone upon entry, but people keep unmuting. Please stop unmuting.
I think the host
So
can
Samuel, do you want to share
place a
what
restriction on that.
your
As a
GRE
host,
and
you can
TOEFL
actually make
scores were?
everybody not unmute themselves now, so it's very possible.
Yeah. So okay, I'm trying to.
All right,
We've
Faidat.
done that.
Hello,
Okay.
Faidat. Let me
Yes.
just
So they
unmute
won't be able
everybody.
to anymore. We've set
Okay,
it that
okay.
way. Don't worry. Nobody can
All right.
unmute again.
Okay.
Thank you. So Samuel, please, what was your GRE and TOEFL score?
All right. Okay.
If you don't
My
want to
GRE.
share it, it's fine.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, I think no, it's good to encourage someone. I did not get the top flyer score. I scored 300 in my GRE, and then in my TOEFL I scored 92. So it's not the GRE and the TOEFL score per se. That doesn't discourage you. That does not discourage you from getting a very good score. Please work hard and do well to get a good score. But like Faida has once said, the admission committee they look at your application holistically. So they look at your SOP, they look at your letters of recommendation, they look at your CGPA, the entirety, not just GRE and TOEFL. So fortunately, in some schools they waive GRE for me, and some schools waive TOEFL for me. So it wasn't counting any longer. So that is just it.
Yeah, so
I
let's
don't
keep
know if
the
I'm
response to 30 seconds to 1 minute. And then I want
uh,
everyone to know that we would have a panel session right after they all finish their presentation. So some of these questions you're asking, you can ask them at that time. So I'm going to take just one more question before we move to the next topic. So thank you for the enlightening session. My question is, does taking the standardized tests come before the search for schools?
all right.
Did
You
you
need
hear me?
to search for
Okay,
yeah,
good.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, Faida. Your question is, does taking the standardized test comes before the searching of schools? Based on my explanation, it's no. You first search for schools. Your schools will determine the list of the schools you will enter when you are about to write, or when you are to write your standardized test. So you search for schools first, like I said, you make an extended list. From your extended list, you will now know which of the schools you are to enter for your standardized test. So it comes before, not after.
Yes, to add to what he has said, if you're going to take the GRE, on the GRE day, immediately your score is displayed. It's the computer will ask you to enter 4 schools you want to send your score to for free. So you want to make sure you've actually done your search. That's why it's good for you to have a list of 10. So depending on what your score is, you already know out of this 10, I know the school to enter if I score 340. I know the school to put if I score 320. So you need to do that search before your exam date. So we'll take some of our high scholars on the call will actually try to respond to some of the questions in the chat box, and we'll also take some of them during the panel session. So we need to move on to the next topic, which is emailing prospective supervisors, code emailing 101. So I'm sure you want to get your biro and your book. I'm sure you've even had it throughout. So please, if you did not have it before, you should get it now, because this is going to be another very practical session. So our facilitator for this topic is Afiz. So Afiz would be taking us on emailing prospective supervisors. Afiz is a 2020 high scholar and a graduate of Federal University of Technology, Akure, Kuta, and he received fully funded offers in different continents, including North America and Asia. And one interesting fact about Afiz is, I remember last year, Afiz got his first offer in November, I think early November. And I'm sure someone mentioned that most deadlines actually come in December, but this scholar got his own offer in November. So I'm sure at the end he would share we want to know the secrets to this November, but I'm sure emailing a prospective supervisor early enough was part of it. So Afiz, please, you have the floor.
Hello, good evening. Can you all hear me?
Yes, good evening, Afiz. We can hear you.
Okay, I'm sharing my screen now. Can you all see my screen?
Yes, we can see your screen.
Okay, nice. So I'll be taking you through emailing prospective supervisors. So without wasting much of our time, let's get started. So for this topic, we'll be going through why you should send an email, when to send an email, then general email etiquette, how to structure your first email, the follow-up email, replying a positive response from a professor, then how to reply a negative response from a professor, then the do's and don'ts you should follow while sending an email. So why should you send an email? Now, for the grad school, especially if you're interested in a thesis-based program, either master's and at the PhD level, thesis-based. So you need to sell yourself to the professor or to the graduate committee. So while sending an email, you are trying to share your research experience, your academic background to the prospective professor. Now, and you're also inquiring whether there is space or funding available in their lab.
Good one, good, sir.
So when to send an email? Now, like the first speaker said, while searching for schools, the first step is to identify an extended list. So from this extended list, you're going to downsize it to a minimum of, let's say, 10 or less than that. So, and an important part in downsizing your list is the responses you get from these professors. So the first thing you need to do is to identify your research interest. Which part of your program are you interested in? For example, if you study civil engineering, are you interested in structures or highway, or are you interested in water engineering? So you have to be specific. Now, you don't shoot emails to structures and then in that same school, you shoot email to a professor in water engineering. It's unethical. Then before you do this, you would have to go through the professor's web page, either the personal website or a research page like Google Scholar or ResearchGate. Why do you have to do this? You have to be sure that this professor is actually doing what you are interested in. This professor is actually doing something that interests you. The graduate school is a long process, and it won't be appropriate if because of funding you are doing something you are not interested in or something you are not passionate about. So research interest is very, very important. Research alignment, research fit is very, very important while selecting the professor to email. Now, you can start sending your emails as early as August 1. I think the earliest application window for some schools starts as early as August, September. So you can start shooting your emails as early as August 1st. Now, general email etiquette. This does not apply to sending emails to professors only, but it applies to sending emails to the grad codes, the program directors, because this journey you're going to be sending a lot of emails to either make inquiries or complaints, anything. Now, the first thing you need to do is, you need to add an email subject. If you are sending me an email and there is no subject attached to it, then I will likely not open the email. So it's very important you add an email subject. Now, begin with a formal salutation. If you're reaching out to a professor, address him by his title, dear professor, dear doctor, with Mr. or Mrs. Address them by their title. Now, you remember to be formal throughout the email. We all remember how we write formal essays, like formal letter writing. So the same principle applies here. You have to be formal throughout the essay, throughout the email, I mean. Now, end your emails with an email signature. Yeah, so it's nice in an academic environment to always attach an email signature to your email. I'll be showing you a sample of an email signature in the subsequent slide. Now, begin reply emails with a thank you note. This is not a rule of thumb, but it's nice you respond to a reply of an email with a thank you note. Now you can check your emails for grammatical errors before sending, just to be sure. You can use different grammar check tools like Grammarly. So now structuring your first email. So now you have identified your research interest, you have checked the research fit with the professor, you have gone through his personal email and personal websites and maybe Google Scholar or ResearchGate, and you are sure that okay, you like to work with this person, so you want to shoot your email. Now, like I said earlier, email subject is very important. Now, salutation, another important part. Now, introduction and declaration. So this is going to be your first paragraph. You have to introduce yourself and state your intent. Why are you sending the email? So that's what your first paragraph is going to contain. Now, the body of the email. This is, I'll say, the most important aspect in your email, the body. Now, your conclusion, then the email signature. So I'll be taking these items one after the other. Now, your email subject. Like I said, the email subject would likely determine whether the person is going to open your email or not. So you have to keep it short and concise, and it has to be catchy. Now, if you know the lab's research team, you can make use of it. What I mean by the lab research team is, let's say, for example, the professor, if you go to their personal website or their research page, you're going to see the lab they are working in. So the lab always have something like a title. You can see Professor so and so research group. You can see Davis Laboratory. It can even be in something like Smart Structures Laboratory, something like that. So I'll be showing samples. So for the email subject, can use something like this: outstanding student interested in Smart Structures Lab. So here now, the Smart Structures Lab is the lab's research team of the professor. You get. So this is another example: interest in Davis Research Group. So this Davis Research Group here is the lab's research team of the professor. I can also use something like this: inquiry, prospective PhD student. So you just have to be flexible enough. You can try different email subjects. It's not compulsory you stick to one. Sure you get it. It's not that if I use the first one, it's certain that the professor is going to open my email. So everybody has their own way of addressing the email subject. So you can be as flexible as you want. So now the introduction and declaration of interest. Now you have to briefly introduce yourself, your name, the school you graduated from. If you have a very good grade like first class or 2-1, you can add it. Then you also state your goals and why you're interested in their work. So this is an example here. Dear Professor Adekoya, thank you for checking this email. I am Samuel with Malik Idris. So this is your surname, then your first and other name. Now, I hold a bachelor's degree in civil engineering. So yeah, your grade here, if you have a first class, you can put it. If you have a second class upper division, you can add it. From the University of ABC, Nigeria. I am interested in applying for the PhD program in civil engineering at the University of XYZ for fall 2022. So you have to be specific about the timeline you want to make your application. And I am interested in joining. Now, this is the main aim you are sending in this email. So the research team, like I said earlier, Smart Structures Lab, Davis Research Group, can be anything. Then I would love to work in your research group to develop my research skills and also learn. So this is just why you're interested in joining their research group. Now the next section is the body of the email. Like I said, this is the most important section in your code email. So now you need to show that you are excited about their work and you are interested. So you have to show that you're a motivated student and you're interested in research. Now you have to show that you can do research. How can you do this? I'll be showing an example in the next slide. So you can show that you can do research by either briefly stating your undergraduate thesis, or probably an article you have written before, or a conference paper. If there's a link to that, you can also attach it. And then you can also show you can do research by going online and read the professor's works, and by doing this, you can attach a link to where you read that article, written by the professor. So it's good that the professor will really know that, oh, this person is interested, and he took his or her time to search the internet for my works. Sure, you get. So they're always happy to see that. Now, show what you can offer to the group. If you have acquired some skills along the line that will be useful in that particular lab, maybe you have a programming skills, you have some laboratory experience on some equipment, you can briefly mention them. Then show that you're a perfect fit for each other. Like I said, fit is very important. Research alignment is very important. So what you are interested in, you have to let him know that it aligns with what he's also doing. So this is a sample. Now I found your paper, so and so art. Now this is the link, where you read the paper. Now if probably you are unable to read the full paper, and it's not like actually like compulsory you add the link, because there are some articles that we read them from a legal source. So you won't want to add the link of that site. Now, I was fascinated. So this is it. You are showing that you are interested in their research work, by the observations from over so and so. Now, the paper demonstrated this means you are still talking about what you read from their research. So now I wrote a term paper in my third year. Now I'm trying to show that I'm trying to connect a link, and also trying to show that I can do research. Now, if you have a link to this research, you can add it here. So the professor can read if he is interested in seeing what you wrote. Now, the next paragraph, I have research background in behavior of this and this. So here you are showing research fits that this is what I want to do and this is what you are doing. There's alignment here. So now you can proceed to say something like this. In Nigeria, there is need for high-rise buildings to accommodate commercial and residential needs. I'm just trying to create a connection here on what I want to come and do and how it relates to what the professor is currently doing. This professor I'm sending an email to is working on structural failure investigations and sorry, I'm using civil engineering terms. Yeah, he's working on structural failure investigation. So what I'm writing here is related to what he will be interested in. Now, for your conclusion, so that's this third paragraph, your closing remarks. Now, inform the professor of any attached documents. I'll be talking about the attached documents later on. Now, show appreciations and full. Now, would it be possible and worthwhile to pursue this line of research in your graduate program? If so, sign my attached resume for your perusal in the attached. Thank you for your precious time, and I look forward to hearing a positive thing you are doing, just your position, add it, secondary contact information. Now, I believe everybody here should have a LinkedIn page. You should try to,
Um, can you hear me? If you can hear me, please say something in the chat box. I think is having a little network issue. You know, our internet connectivity in our dear country sometimes can don't let me finish it. So it's gonna come back in, but so far I hope we've been learning a lot. Please let me know what you think in the chat box. We've been trying to respond to some of the questions that you've put, some of the questions you've asked. So if you want to unmute, please raise your hand. We would allow you to unmute. So he's gonna join us soon. His network his network is just misbehaving. Okay, Shola Kolawole. So I responded to your question about ISI list of winners. You said you applied. Oh, I see a lot of people raising their hands. Sorry, just gonna look at this quickly. Quick. Okay. Okay, Shola. Yeah. Sorry. So you can speak, Shola.
Okay, thank you so much. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. So my first question goes to the first speaker. I didn't know his name. He talks about choosing schools
Okay,
and
Samuel.
yeah. So he talks about choosing school and getting to know the type of schools that you want to.
Okay. I can't hear him anymore.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, yes, I can
Okay.
hear you.
Okay. So what I'm trying to say is that I started this scholarship journey also last year. So I've been trying to send emails, a lot of emails to different professors in different schools. Most of them are telling me that they don't have space or don't have the scholarship or anything to sponsor me. So I've been trying to find it difficult to find someone that at least is going to take me under him or her. And that's where my challenge is causing. Because it's difficult for you to know the person that will actually have you, that will be able to have space for you to go and study under them. So if you are to write your TOEFL now, you have to list the schools that you want to go to, though even though you've sent message or you might not even have sent the message to them, but yet you got the reply that they didn't have any space for you again and you couldn't even do anything about it. So my question is, how do you even know the type of professors? How do you identify them in different schools that they will be able to need students? And how will you be able to convince them better so they can take you under them? And my second question goes to the
Okay,
person
so
that
I
just,
think the question you're asking would be, yes, I think the question you're asking is directed to Samuel, yeah? Or I think
yeah.
it's
Yeah,
for the person that is currently speaking. Okay.
So,
And I
yeah,
also
I
want to
think
tell you to
it's
please
mixed.
try to ask the question. Okay, it's you. Yeah, Samuel, you're going to respond. So please try to ask
Yeah,
your question within like 30 seconds to 1 minute. Okay, so Samuel, please respond.
all right. All right, Shola. If I get your question very well, you're asking how do you get to know about professors that whose interest matches with yours? You would
exactly.
need to go to, yeah, you need to go to the website. You will go to the website. There's what they call faculty profile. You have to read about their research interest and possibly read about their current research work, maybe publications that they've released recently, not past ones. You understand what I'm trying to say? There are works you will read, let's say last 10 years. The professor is no longer doing that work again. is currently on a work, maybe they just started one last year or last year. So you have to go to the departmental website, read about the faculty's profile, and then go further again to read about his current research work. Perhaps maybe he has even released some publications there. So that one will give you an insight. You get what I'm trying to say? What Hafiz was explaining, what this session that the guy that just logged out is explaining, is very, very helpful, because the way you send your code mail will even determine some might not be having fun, and they will tell you, okay, fine, Shola, I'm very sorry you're having an impressive CV and all of that. I'm not having fun, but I can recommend you to somebody else. It's the quality of your code mail. So what you mail or how you mail to a particular professor, even if he's not having funding, he may recommend you. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
All right, I understand it.
So
Thank you so much.
yeah, so that is that.
Okay, so would allow Shola would allow Wisdom to ask his own question now. I apologize again. Afis is trying to join. It's facing a little challenge. So Wisdom's iPad. Oh, sorry. Wisdom's iPad. You've been asked to unmute. Okay.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. So my question is directed to the last speaker.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Please keep it within 30 seconds because
He's here to
already.
join.
Okay.
He's here already.
Okay, all right.
Okay, thank you very much. The last speaker. So your part was very, very insightful. Okay, and I equally want to thank the first speaker too. I equally learned a lot. So for the last speaker, I want to ask, having a research publication like your undergraduate thesis being published online, of course it has a lot of advantages, right? Regards to sending cold mails and getting a research funding or a professor being interested in your work, in your application. I want to get a reply. Does it have any special advantage? And what advice would you give to someone that doesn't have an already published work?
Okay, so you're asking if a published undergraduate thesis would give you more advantage when you reach out to professors.
And what of in the case whereby someone doesn't have an already published?
Yeah. Okay, so interestingly, so I don't have a publication. Okay, well, I have one now, but at the time I applied to schools in the US, I didn't publish my undergraduate project, and I did not have any publication. Another interesting thing is what I did in my undergraduate project is not related to what is not related to what my research interest actually is. So you still have a chance. So if you've not published it, try to sort of show efforts that you're trying to publish this. It could be that you've submitted it in a journal, so you could mention that. And the thing is, in your email, it's not about mentioning I have a publication. No, it is about letting them know what you actually did in that research. Like, what did you contribute to that research? It's not just I have a publication. What did you do? So I don't know if that has answered the question, but I'm sure Afis will give you more, would shed more light on that. So Afis, you can continue.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Yes.
I'm very sorry for that interruption.
No problem. We understand.
Okay, I think I stopped here. So this is an example of an email signature. So your first name and your last name, like I said. Now your position and your affiliation. So for example, Graduate Assistant, Civil Engineering Department, Federal University of Technology, Akure, Nigeria. So this is a link to my LinkedIn page, for example. So you can add this here, and then you can add your mobile contact. So to create an email signature, I'll just briefly explain. Actually, it's not on this slide, but on your Google account, your Gmail account, if you go to settings, then under settings, you scroll down a little bit, then you see the option to add an email signature. So you can edit as suited. Then it would automatically attach itself to every email you want to send. So now sending a follow-up email. Now, after you have reached out to a professor, and let's say after a week you're yet to get a response, then you can send another follow-up email. Then let your follow-up email be under the same thread of the from the first email. So you can reach out again, hello professor, kindly briefly introduce yourself again, and then tell him that you have sent an email and still look forward for his response. So let's say after some like another 2 to 3 weeks, you're yet to get a response. You can try again, send another follow-up email. Then after that, if you still don't get a response, probably there are many things that could have happened. Is either the professor has opened your email and is probably not interested. Is either the professor is too busy and it was not chance to open your email, or either your email entered spam, and he's unable to read it in his inbox. So now this is an example of a positive response. So you have sent an email and lucky enough for you, the professor
Something in the
responded.
chat box. Okay.
So this is a sample. Hello, please. I may have an opening. Now, watch the words they use. Watch their tenses. He said, I may. He's not say he is not sure also. I may have an opening for 21 and you have a good fit. So this was after I've sent my CV. He has seen my CV and probably has seen what I've done. So he said, and you may be a good fit. Now, to be considered, please apply for admission, shall you get, and add your information to this pre-application form. It is free. Now, it's not all schools that have pre-application form. Some schools do this. You fill a pre-application form before submitting your original application. So the essence of this pre-application form is just to know whether you are a fit for what they want. So if you are not, they might probably tell you not to apply at all. So you don't have to waste your application fee. Now, as openings become available, we will contact individuals who have been admitted and have also expressed interest through this pre-application form. So that was the first email he sent. So after I filled the application form and so he sent another one. So I was reviewing your qualifications and you might be a good fit for an opening I have in early 2021. Would you be willing to be considered in January 2021? Why is asking this question is that I mentioned I'm interested in fall 2021. So it was asking if I'm interested in an earlier resumption date or perhaps summer 2021. That's almost fall. Now it would help to know your availability. I would also like to arrange a meeting with you. Now, this is an informal interview. He even stated it here. So the professor is now the meeting is more of like to assess me if I'm really a good fit for what he wants, and to also know that if I have research alignment and with what he's also doing, you get, and to also know my career goals. So that's the essence of this informal interview. I believe the person that'll be taking us through how to ace graduate school interview will cover all this. So I won't really talk on that. So now, then how do you respond to this positive response? So now you have to first appreciate the professor for reading the email and also responding. Then give them heads up about the submission of the application. Then now You can request for a brief chat via any preferred communication platform like Zoom, but this is actually optional. It's not compulsory. So some professors might put that forward, and some won't. So if you feel there is need for you to know more about the program from the professor himself, you can always request either a yes or no. You get. Now, this is a sample. Dear Professor Adekoya, I'm glad that you're interested in having me as a student. I look forward to submitting to request for a brief chat with you to learn more about your research in your graduate program. Now, I understand the time difference between Nigeria and Ohio is 5 hours. Now, we are in different time zones. So if you are going to be requesting or if you're going to be conducting an interview, you have to be sure of the particular time here in Nigeria. So if they say 2 p.m. over there, 2 p.m. over there is not the same as 2 p.m. in Nigeria. So more intuition. Now, but I will be available at a based on your own comfortability too. Are you fine? Because any time of the day for him might be in the night for you. Are you comfortable with that? So I can arrange for any communication platform of your present of your preference. So if the professor is interested, he can tell you to go ahead and create the link, or he can even be the one to create the link and ask you for the time. Okay, will you be available on Wednesday or Thursday? So it's going to give you the time is a time frame, and it will also ask you to pick. Sure you get. So you can always pick the preferred date you want. So now that's positive response. So this is a negative response. So this is samples, congratulations, blah blah blah. Reading this as false, you think it's a positive response, but so there is no opening in our lab. So, and she gave reasons due to COVID, which might be true or not, you are not sure, but the thing you should take note is that she does not have opening. So leave her and leave the school or the professor and move to the next. Now, this kind of reach out to the next professor. She gets some another professor might have opening in their own lab. So it's not that once only if this is the only professor you're interested in working with in that school, then you can probably leave the school and move to another school. So these are one of the ways you can reduce your extended list mentioned earlier. So the responses you get from faculty members and graduate coordinators will help you trim down your extended list. Now, replying a negative response, you can reply back, oh, thank you for checking this email, and thank you for responding to the email. The do's and don'ts. Now, like I said earlier, contact only one professor in your department at a time. If you are interested in a particular field in the program, with structures, I'm talking about, sorry, I'll mention on my talk based on civil engineering, I'm very sorry. So if you're interested in structures, now stay with structures. If you're interested in transport, stay with transport. Why? Because these professors, some of them, they might the interview, let's say they have scheduled an interview for you now. Your interview can be with a panel, and you have these professors there. A professor from transport, another one from structures, water, they'll be like that. So once you introduce yourself and they'll be like, oh, this guy has sent me an email before. Another one says, this guy has reached out to me before. Then they'll know that you are confused and you don't know what you want exactly. So it's a red flag. So be sure of your research interest, and if you're going to send email, stay with one field in the program. Now, in your first email, don't ask about scholarships, funding, you have funding in your lab. They all know that anybody reaching out to them will probably from this part of the country would is interested in funding. So you don't have to make it too obvious by asking them directly. Now, send your GRE scores or maybe SOP or cover letter or any other essay, only if you're asked to. Now you see some openings from some professors, they'll tell you attach this, attach that. But if you are sending a cold email for the first time, you don't have to send your GIS, because what the professor will be thinking is that, oh, because you have an impressive GI score, you are trying to woo him or her with that. So they don't see it the way we see it. So it's not, let me say, I won't say it's not compulsory, but it's not necessary. You attach your GI score on the very first email. Only if it was requested for, probably you have gone through the professor's personal website and he mentioned that if you want to reach out to him or to me, send your CV, your transcript, your GRE, get. So then you can prepare that and send everything. But if it's not requested, you don't have to attach it. You don't have to attach it at all. Now avoid using different fonts throughout the email. We all know this. I can't be reading Times New Roman and the next paragraph I'll be reading another type of font. It's unethical. So now attach a CV or a resume. If you have relevant work experience or research experience in that field, that will be part of the things the professor is going to use to judge you. Okay, this person from his experience, would it be a fit in a lab? Sure, you get. So if you have something that is very, very related to what the professor is doing, you can always attach your CV. Now, as regards your transcript, now, because some people be like, can't I attach a transcript? Now, like I said earlier, if the professor needs your transcript, he's going to request that oh, I need to see your transcript. Probably after the first interaction with him, here you can, the subsequent emails, you can attach your transcript. Or if the professor has mentioned or instructed that before reaching out to me, attach your transcript, she gets, because some of these people, they don't like opening too many attachments. You get. So thank you all for listening. And once again, I'm sorry for the interruption.
No problem, Afis. Thank you so much. And I apologize again for the connectivity issues. We sometimes don't have control over that. So there are some questions for you already. I saw someone mentioned that you should speak more about reminder emails. Oluwabumi, please, can you make the question more specific? Then someone is asking, sorry, trying to look at it. Okay, someone is asking which should come first, emailing the graduate coordinator for funding availability or emailing the professor for openings? Can you hear me? Hello? Please, if you can hear me, say yes in the chat box.
Yes, I can hear you. So,
okay, did you hear the question? Okay, you heard.
Yes, I heard the question. Yeah, so I would advise you mail the program or graduate coordinator first. Yeah, that's your first primary contact. Now, reaching out to the graduate coordinator, you have a lot of questions to ask him. Some questions that the answers are not on their web page, because if they're on their web page, they'll just send you a direct link to go and read up those questions, the answers. So you can always ask, okay, is there funding available? And now when you're asking about funding available, I'll always advise you to be specific about the type of funding when you're asking various coordinators. Ask various coordinators that is teaching assistantship available, because that is the only kind of assistantship that the department has control over. The other type, the research assistantship, is the professor that is going to decide which kind of students I want to take in. So do you understand me? And the fellowship, that's probably the department or the faculty as a whole. So if you're going to be asking the various coordinator for funding availability, be specific that is graduate teaching assistantship available for is it PhD or MSc students in their first year? And you can ask questions like that from the various coordinator. You can ask the various coordinators that is it compulsory? You reach out to or you secure a potential advisor before you can be guaranteed of an admission and space probably in their lab, because it's not all schools that it's compulsory you send emails to supervisors or you have a potential advisor. There are also cases that you submit an application and fortunately for you, it is the person that will reach out to you personally. There are several occasions like that that professors reached out to me personally without sending them cold emails. So this all depends on the kind of application you have submitted. While they are reviewing, they might develop interest and they'll reach out to you, probably to talk more or to schedule an unofficial interview with you. So there are some kind of cases like that. So it's better you reach out to the graduate or program coordinator first.
Great. Thank you so much for that response, Afi. So another advice that I have is, if you are considering a school at all, always make sure you email the graduate coordinator. Like, sometimes the relationship you build with the graduate coordinator, it can actually make a difference. So you want to make sure that you email the graduate coordinator first. So Salami Faiza. Oh, yeah. So you're asking, the facilitators are mostly talking about professors. Are these steps also applicable for master's program? Yes, if it's a research master's, you need to, all these steps are applicable. And pretty much every one in the I don't want to say everyone, most people are called professors in this international schools. Yeah. To everyone asking about the recording, so this is live on our YouTube channel, and it would always be there. It will always be on our YouTube channel. So you can always go back to our YouTube channel to watch this session. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and leave a comment. To people asking about getting the slides, we would consider that. But if not, you can always watch this again on our YouTube channel. So Pelumi is asking, how do we remind professors, because they might have not read due to too many emails coming? So how do we approach them?
Yeah, like I said earlier, I said if you're going to send a follow-up email, it should be under the same thread from the first email we sent. So the content will not be as, in fact, it's just very little. Hello, Professor. Thank you for checking this email. I am so and so. Then just briefly, a brief introduction, and you inform him that you have sent him an inquiry earlier. Yeah, it's an inquiry, and you still look forward to hear a positive response from him. You can tell him how passionate and interested you are in the program again, just to buttress yourself again that you're highly interested in his works and you much appreciate a response from him. So that's just what your follow-up email can be.
Great. Thank you, Afiz. If it's possible for us to keep the responses to 30 seconds, 1 minute. So the person asking, what are expected questions to look forward to during an informal interview with a potential supervisor? So we have a session on grad school interviews tomorrow, and I'm sure the facilitator will do justice to informal, formal interviews, fostering relationships with the professors from now till admission decisions are out. Wisdom is asking, can one use a personalized organization email account for sending code emails? Would that be more efficient?
Yes, you can. If you have any email that's affiliated to an institution, maybe your school or where you work, you can definitely use it. And your Gmail is also fine. But the only thing another thing that is important there is your domain name. For example, you can use your first name and maybe your last name together with some digits. You should not use some nicknames or some funny names. I know, I believe we all know what I'm talking about. So your email can be your first name and last name, maybe some digits at gmail.com. Sure, you get. So that's
Yeah. So
that's
thank
that.
you. Thank you for that response, Hafiz. You need to make sure you have professional and formal email names. So you don't want to be using a name like finest girl in town at gmail.com. The professor would probably not even open that. And organization email here, to be specific, it should be institutional email, your school email, because most times they believe you're applying or you're reaching out to them while you're in your final year. So please use your institutional email, not just any organization. Else you can just use your Gmail or your Yahoo or something. Something in the chat. So I apologize again for all the technical issues that we were facing in the beginning. We try to do better tomorrow. So our next session is on statement of purpose. Like I said before, you can score a 340 in your GRE or a 120 in your TOEFL, or you should even reach out to a professor and he says yes. And then by the time they are reviewing your application, it's not only that professor, it might not be just that professor that review your application. And then they see your statement of purpose. First, they see a lot of errors, it's not focused, and all that. You really don't want to lose that opportunity. So Afiz, please could you put up, or I'll just share my screen here. So I hope my own internet doesn't get interrupted. So Aniel is going to be taking us on writing statement of purpose, writing a winning statement of purpose. So Aniel is a 2020 I scholar and a graduate of Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife. And he received fully funded PhD offers in the U. When the admission committee, so good, your SOPs, that's why Aniel is going to be walking us through drafting a very good statement of purpose for our applications. Aniel, you got this. Please, if you're raising your hand, you can put your hand down or lower your hand. I think that's a better word. So Anya will be sharing a screen in a few minutes. We've been trying to respond to some of the questions that you've been asking in the chat. We'll do our best. I see that we have a lot of questions, and later I think we'll take a poll to know if we just want to dedicate maybe 1 hour to actually having all these scholars sit and then you ask them as many questions as you want. If you think this is a good idea, please let me know in the chat box. So Aniel is here already. All right. Yeah, Anya, we can see your screen. You're not speaking yet. We can hear you, or I can't hear you. Can you hear him? If you can hear him, please say something in the chat. I can see your mouth moving, but we can't hear you. We apologize again for this technical issues. So we'll keep trying to respond to some of the questions you're putting in the chat. Okay, Oga Aniel, we can't hear you yet. He's on mute. He's a co-host, so he's not muted actually. He's not. Do you want to disconnect your audio and connect it again?
Yes, I'll do that. Can you hear me now?
Okay, good. Yes. We can hear you.
Okay, so good evening, everyone. So I'll be speaking to us concerning the statement of purpose. And before I start, I would like to just say that writing statement of purpose can be daunting at first. It can be very scary because you do not know what is useful information and what is not useful information as regards your application to graduate school. But all I would say is, so far you take it a step at a time, like you write it over weeks or over months. You would to start by saying that statement of purpose is just one part of your application, and it's one part I usually like people to major on because it's one part that you can always modify. It's not like your CGPA or your GRE score, whereby when you are done with school or when you are done writing the GRE or TOEFL, you can't change anything about it. But for your statement of purpose, when you're done writing, you can actually edit it until the day of submission. So that's why you have to give it your best shot. So I'll start by asking that you can see my screen, right? Yes. So what is the statement of purpose? Actually, it's just as simple as it sounds, statement of purpose. So it's an essay stating your purpose for applying to a particular program, whether it's a graduate program, like a master's program, a PhD program, anything. So it's just telling them, oh, this is me applying for a program. So what should be in your statement of purpose? You should actually tell the admissions committee, basically, not every time, but basically these three things must be in your statement of purpose. It should tell the admissions committee who you are. Oh, my name is Kunle. I am a chemistry student. I'm a chemistry major. I want to apply for a biomedical science position and stuff. So it should tell who you are, like, who am I? That is what it should tell the admissions committee. And secondly, it should also tell the admissions committee what your interests are. Oh, I'm interested in aeronautics engineering. I'm interested in Scrabble. I'm interested in doing this. I'm interested in doing that. I'm interested in your laboratory. So you should tell them what your interests are. Then thirdly, you should tell them how you would add value to the program. Actually, you should look at applying for a PhD, applying for a master's, like applying for a job. You will not be paid for a job if you are not doing anything for the program. So if you are applying for a particular program, you should be doing something for that program. You should be contributing something to that program. So if you are not contributing anything to that program, you have no right to get admitted. That is just how that's as simple as it sounds. You understand? So look at application for a PhD, for a master's, for anything as applying for a job. So you should also tell the admissions committee how you would add value to the program. Oh, I'm a Black student. I'm going to add diversity in terms of color to this. Oh, I have so much political experience. I've read stuff about blah, blah, blah. I can add political blah, blah to the department. Oh, wow. I'm applying for a master's degree in art, but I have a particular penchant for programming. I know how to run Java programs, Python programs. Even though I'm an English student, I can add that to the program. Oh, do you understand? So you are telling the admissions committee what you would add to that program or what you add to that lab. So I'll be going to the next slide now. What's the typical length of a good SOP? So basically, by word count, you should know that a typical SOP should be between 500 words and 1,000 words. Although some people would tell you you can write up to 1,005, 2,000, but sincerely, how many of us still read papers like that? The world is getting so fast that people have no time to read so much. Imagine a school getting up to 200 applications and each of them gets 2,000 words SOP, all of them like that. So you would know that it would be really difficult for them to read through all those SOPs. So the best thing to do is to stick to a short word count, 500 words, 1,000 words, max 1,002. That is by word count. By page count, usually the ideal count for page SOP is 1 page, but then you can extend to 2 pages. You understand? I actually extend mine to 2 pages because one page cannot be enough most times. But then one more thing you should know is that most programs would specify what they want on their website. I remember when I was applying to Stanford University, I had everything was specified down to the spacing. They will tell you the word count, they'll tell you the pages, the spacing, the font size, the everything, the margin. They would specify everything. So, and sometimes you have to be really careful because these instructions may not be on the department website. It may just be on the graduate school catalog. So when you check the catalog and you see that, oh, my department under this catalog is having particular instructions for how SOP should be, for how personal statements should be, for how motivational letters should be, you should actually follow them. Don't say, oh, okay, it's 1,000 words. What if it's 1,000 words? Remove the title. My SOP is 1,000 words. Just remove the title. Nobody has that time to remove any title for you. There's no time for that. So if I am reviewing an SOP and I open the SOP and I go to word count and I see 1,005, it's possible I dump that SOP somewhere. You did not just follow instructions, simple as that. So if you cannot follow instructions as writing SOP, I'm not sure you can follow instructions by being in my lab. You understand? So even though you think that the title of your SOP is 5 words, you've written 1,000 words, that's making it 1,005 words. Please look for a way to remove 5 words from that SOP. Usually I don't hit 1,000 if they tell me 1,000. I'll hit 998 or 997, just in case anything happens and 3 adds to something or 2 adds to something or 1 adds to something. So try and stick to the instructions given for your SOP. Then yeah, for an ideal SOP also, font size should be between 11 to 12 points with good spacing. So I usually use 1.5, but sometimes I can just stick to 1. But spacing is nice. Let there be spaces before and after your paragraph so that when someone looks at your SOP, it does not look so bulky. You know how you look at good emails and you look at an email and you can scan through with one look, you can scan through, you can see useful information from not so useful information, you understand, and from somewhat useful information. So let your SOP have good spacing. So now, how do you write a good statement of purpose? How do you write a good SOP? So basically, the first thing, I think there are 4, but let's just go on one by one. So the first thing is try and put your ideas and intentions together. Ideas and intentions. So I have this idea that when I'm writing my SOP, I'm going to fraction it into introduction, a body, and the conclusion. I'm going to know as I'm walking along the street and I see something that looks cool, I'm like, oh, this can form a part of my SOP that I can use as an introduction. Those are my ideas. I'm trying to put them together. That's why we would always tell people, do not write an SOP in one day. I've been reviewing SOPs for a very long time now, but then I usually it is 7 days to the deadline. Do you understand? Because like you see so many grammatical errors, so many differences, so many problems, people like bad things, you understand? So your internet, okay. So now you put your ideas, you put your intentions together in your SOP, and do not forget that your SOP is one opportunity you have to directly address the admissions committee. You are talking, it's just like you're talking to them. Oh, this is me. I want to apply for this program. I want to apply for this position. I would like to be funded. I would like a teaching assistantship. I would like a research assistantship. I know how to program. I know how to do this. I play basketball in my free time. So you are trying to address the admissions committee directly. You understand? So that is just how it is. So then questions that could help you when you are writing your SOP could be, number 1, why do I want to be in this graduate program? I'm going to use myself as an example. I always wanted to study, I always want to rather to study cancer research. So I want a graduate program that would give me the relative skills I would need to carry on a profession that is a long-term academic career in cancer research. That is why I want to be in your program. That's why I'm applying to your program, because I believe your program can give me this. Number 2, why do I want this school? I want this school because, oh, I love Louisiana. I love Stanford. Everybody loves Stanford. Don't you love Stanford? I love Stanford. So that is why I want this school. I want this school because it has good facilities. I love this school because the professor I want to work with is already working on a virus that I'm really interested in. That is why I want this particular school. So number 3, how would this program help me achieve my short to long-term goals? Okay, I'm applying for a master's because I don't necessarily want a PhD. I want a master's because I can go into my academic career using my master's degree or blah, blah, blah. Oh, I'm applying for a PhD because after my PhD, I want to go in for my postdoc because I aim for an academic career. So how would this program help me achieve my long and short-term goals? D, what can I add to this program? Oh, just like I said before, something like, oh, okay, I'm applying for this program, but I know that this program also has a branch for bioinformatics, and I'm already learning bioinformatics. I can program, I can do this, I can do that. So I can add that to the program. Secondly, I know that inclusion principles and diversity and culture stuff I can add to this program by increasing diversity within the program as a, that's like something you can add to the program. Like, you just have to add something to the program. Then what do I love most about this program? Same thing. So you have to just put in those things. What do I love most about this? Oh, I love this program because I love the school I'm going to, because, oh, this school I'm going to has a health center, because when it has a health center, I can actually carry out translational research. When I do research in the laboratory, I know that my research can be relevant in clinical settings. Oh, I love this program because this program is one of the few programs that have electron microscopes right in the lab, and we do not need to borrow any electron microscopes. That's why I want this program. Okay, I want this program in aeronautics engineering, not only because it's just aeronautics engineering, but it's the best aeronautics engineering department in the world. That is what I love about this program. It's prestigious for me and stuff like that. It's a prestigious program. I love the professor working and stuff like that. So you have many things to tell them about why you love the program. Professors, why you love the professors, why you love anything. So you just have to communicate clearly your intentions. Then number two, develop an outline. So I usually use a 3 to 5. When writing essays, I usually use odd numbers. It's just personal for me, but then odd numbers in the sense that I have the first two, which are like the first and last, which are my introduction and my conclusions. Then between the introduction and the conclusion, you have the body. So the body can be 1 to 3 paragraphs. Do you understand? So, or 4, but I usually use 1 to 3 maximum. So if I have a 500, so your outline should depend on the word count. So imagine you have 500 word essay, like you are told to write an essay of 500 words, and then you write an introduction, then you write a body of 12 paragraphs, then you write a conclusion. It will look like you're reading a hymn. You understand? So your word count should determine how you structure your essay. So if I have an essay that is stating 1,000 words, I can hit an introduction, 2 paragraphs as the body, then a conclusion. Some schools will tell you 1,500 words. Some schools will tell you 2,000 words. And then, okay, I can hit an introduction. I can hit 3 to 4 or 5 paragraphs as the body. Then I hit a conclusion. So your page or word count should determine how you structure your essay. So, but I'm going to be starting from the introduction, then I'm going to say a few things about the body, and I'm going to say a few things about the conclusion. Why I'm going to dwell more on the introduction for this session is because your introduction would actually determine how your audience reads the stuff, in the sense that if I am reading a book and I see the first page is boring, to be very sincere, if the other pages are not boring, I already have a particular predisposition to the rest of the book, in the sense that imagine you start watching Harry Potter from the start, and you see that the first part of Harry Potter, oh, it's boring. It will be really hard for you to start part 2, part 3, part 4, part 5, up to what, part 7, you understand? So you just have to give your introduction the best catchy and attention-grabbing stuff possible. You must make sure your introduction is not too bad. Like, it should not be dull. It should not be something that would throw your readers away. Like, what is this person really saying? So I'm going to dwell on introduction, then I'm going to go back to the body, then I'm going to go to the conclusion. But I'm going to give introductions more, in the sense that I'm going to show us good examples of introductions and bad examples of introductions. So okay, so examples, I'll start from the bad introductions, then I would go to the good introductions. So examples of bad introductions include, okay, for example, I'm sorry, I need to, okay, okay. Okay, for example, an example of a bad introduction, sorry about that. So number one, at the age, imagine you are reading an essay, you are a professor or you are someone reviewing an application and you see this at the age of 3. Imagine the person speaking in a bassy voice at the age of 3. My father brought home our first computer and I disassembled it and then put it back together. It was then I knew I wanted to become a computer scientist. You understand? Okay, now, at the age of 3, you already knew you want to become a computer scientist just because you could couple and uncouple a computer system. Now, this introduction to some people will feel, oh, wow, this person is really smart. But then, how many things can you remember since you were 3? Do you understand? It's an introduction that actually has nothing to do with your drive for the graduate program. You understand? It's not something you should put out there. Or like someone it sounds like I am studying law because I know how to argue very well. You understand? That's how it sounds. That's just how it sounds. Like, you know how it sounds. So then I'm going to the next introduction now, and I'm going to be like, okay, my hobbies and interests range from football, learning the piano, and writing poetry. Currently, I play for Uniben FC, located in one of the most beautiful campuses in southern Nigeria. Let's just say, my position for the club is center midfield, and I can play as a left and right midfielder. It's not a joke. I saw this online, but not Uniben actually. You understand? I didn't see Uniben. I had to just change so that you could relate. So you are applying for a program, and all you can say as your introduction are your hobbies. How are your hobbies going to help us in our program? So it's already boring. It's already showing that this person does not actually know what is going on. What should I do with this? You are wasting words on your football stuff. Some people do not even like football. Someone like me, if I see this kind of thing, I'm already bored. I don't like football. It's nothing I'm interested in at all. So then I'm going to next introduction. Okay, my name is Haniel. I am applying for a master's in biological sciences. Below are reasons why I should be selected. You want to eat them up. You are attacking them. Oh, some people will be like, oh, this is really, he's going straight to the point. Yes. But then sincerely, it's boring. It's really boring. It's not something that would pitch you as someone that will actually, do well, in the sense that you are just straight to the point. It's just blunt. It's dull. There's nothing that would catch the attention of your audience. You understand? Your audience should be caught. You should catch them, catch their attention. Okay, so now imagine you have this kind of introduction. When the old man, this is a good introduction, by the way, okay. When the old man urinated on my leg, it ran down my pants and into my shoe. I could not let go of him as I was holding him up, trying to move him from a wheelchair onto the bed. Now, at this point, I already have a mental picture of what's going on. Now, that's when I first realized that medicine was not going to be just starched, wiped lab coats and golf at all. Can you see how descriptive this person is? I looked again at medicine, the actual practice of medicine on real people, passion, and saw that it often involved messy fluids, reality, imprecision, reality, and an element of surprise. So fun. You will smile when you read this. Your attention will be caught. You would, oh, wow. Of course, the body can be rubbish, but then at this point, you've got my attention. I can read further. You understand? So it's your introduction. It's one of, in fact, to me, it's the best part of your work. That is where holds your how do I put it, your reader, in the sense that the reader has like 200 applications to check, and seeing yours is already sitting tight to read more. So now, and secondly, your introduction must not be long. Let me give an example. So look at this. Learning outside in 9,000 acre forest was more engaging and exciting than sitting in a lab waiting for some bacteria to grow. This is showing reality. It's nice in the sense that, okay, you're just telling the person that although you work in the lab, but then you enjoy something more. It's showing that you are human. It's showing that you're not a robot. You understand? So I'm still going to talk about that. Another introduction because of time. 3, I have known since junior high school that I would be a lawyer, but I did not take the traditional road to law school. Someone reading this is already beginning by the traditional road to law school. Okay, that is already keeping your audience engaged. Even without them speaking, without them seeing whatever is going on, your audience is already engaged. They want to learn more. They want to know what you're talking about, being on the traditional road or not. Number 4, Leon Battista Albati is my great uncle on my mother's side. His name is neatly inscribed in a genealogy contained in one of our family Bibles. It was only after I became interested in architecture that I discovered who my relative was. Although it is common knowledge that everyone on this side of my family can draw or paint, as if by genetic decree. So this person is trying to say that almost everybody in my family, my brothers, my sisters, and all, we can all paint, we can draw. It's looking like it's in our genes. But then I never really realized that Leon Albati was related to me. You understand? Someone in architecture would know what this name. It's just like saying someone in physics does not know who Albert Einstein is. I know who Albert Einstein is. So if you tell me Albert Einstein was your great uncle on your mother's side, I know what I have a picture. So now this stuff is cool because the open paragraph is powerful and auspicious because Leon Battista Albati is Leonardo da Vinci's, it's like they are related architecture. So you already know what you are expecting from this person. So those are good introductions. So lastly, what I'll just say about introduction, make your introductions catchy. It must not be long. It must not be short. It must not be boring. You understand? It has to be something catchy. Secondly, it must not be extraordinary because some people would want to give really extraordinary introductions like, my mom died of cancer. That is why I'm applying for cancer biology. But your mom did not actually die of cancer. Do you understand? So you must not actually give extraordinary introductions for you to make sense. So, but you just give introductions that will maintain your reader, that will keep your reader's attention. So I'm going to go to the next part, which is your body. So like I said, your body should be 1 to 3 paragraphs. In your body, try to be more descriptive and try to be more specific. When you use specific information, you sound true, you sound real. Imagine saying something like, during my bachelor's degree, I learned microscopy. That is the first thing I said. Somebody else says something like, during my bachelor's degree at the Department of Microbiology, Ahmadu Bello University, Nigeria, I learned microscopy. The first part, it is very short, fine. The person still learned microscopy, fine. The person had a bachelor's degree, fine. The second part, the person is more specific about the program, about the school he or she went to. It already creates a picture. Oh, this person studied in Nigeria. I've read SOPs where you just mentioned you have a bachelor's. You never said anything about where you studied. You never said anything about what school, what program. You never said anything about that. So someone reading your SOP would have to go check your profile in the application portal to know where you are from, to know where you studied, to know where your school is located. that should not be something that you want to happen. You do not want to give them that stress. Many people are applying for the programs you are applying for. The Chinese are applying, Europeans are applying, people from the US are applying, Canadians are applying. You do not want them to ask questions that other people are answering in their SOPs. You don't want them to ask you those questions. So make sure you are specific. Do not be too specific though, and say stuff like, oh, I attended microbiology located in the southwest corner of the school. Don't be so specific like that, but just through common sense, you know specificity is cool. You can do well with it. Now, that's the thing. Then also for your body, make sure you do not throw away your ideas. Let it be the same thing you were taught in English, secondary school, primary school. One idea, one paragraph. One idea, one paragraph. So if, like my SOP, I structured it in such a way that after my introduction, I had an idea that was talking about why I wanted that school, why I wanted that lab, the professors I want to work with in that lab. Then the next paragraph was about my experiences, my work experience, my research experience, my writing experience, my programming experience, etc., my experiences. The third paragraph was now about my volunteering experiences and stuff like that, and what the program would do for me relating to my long-term and short-term goals. After that, I hit my conclusions. So in summary, because of time, your body should contain your relevant experiences, your goals, why you want that school and why that program, and what you can add to that program. Do not also forget, when you're applying for a PhD or a master's program, which is usually a research master's, a research PhD, blah, 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 you must have to mention at least one professor in your SOP that aligns to your research, in the sense that, oh, this professor is working on furniture, is working on woodworms in wood, and I want to actually work on woodworms in wood. Now, I want to work with this professor because he's working on woodworms in wood. You understand? So that is just how the body should look like. Now, your conclusion should just, it must not be extraordinary, actually. Your conclusion should just be, it should just be cool. It should be a cool conclusion. Your conclusion should tell them, oh, that in all you said, you believe that you'll be a suitable candidate. Do not sound proud. Do not sound humble. Just know yourself. You understand? Do not sound proud. Do not sound humble. Just have your esteem to yourself. You understand? So you have to tell them that, oh, I know I'm going to be a good fit for this program. And you are also going to mention something at least about the environment. What do you love about Alabama? What do you love about Louisiana? What do you love about New York? Okay, I know New York is the city that never sleeps, but I hope I sleep because I'm going to have enough work in the lab. Something soft, something sweet. Somebody that research will be like, oh wow, this person knows that New York is the city that never sleeps. You understand? Not like writing a full SOP and you are going to somewhere very close to Las Vegas and you don't even mention anything very close to where you are going to. Nothing at all. It should not happen. You should mention at least something about the state, something about the town, something about the city, and stuff like that, at least in your conclusion. Then, sorry, I have to speed up. Then, number 3, write your first draft. In writing your first draft, remember I said in the beginning of this session, you cannot write your SOP once. You have to write it and keep editing. So when you write your first draft, please talk about your drive and motivation. What drove you to do this? What is motivating you? Do you just want to study for a PhD because you want to be called a doctor? No. Do you want to study for a master's because you want to get employment? Not really. Nobody wants to hear all those things from you. Nobody wants someone that is selfish. You understand? Are you doing this for humanity? Yes, that should be your drive. Any of your drive that is not linking towards humanity one way or the other is regarded as selfish. So you should be selfless in your drive. Let your drive be something that's motivating you to do better for yourself and for the world. That's number 2. Demonstrate your interest in the school and program. Number 3, be human. Some people write like robots. You write about all your experiences. You can program anyhow. You can do this. You can do that. You can go on and on and on and on and write about your CGPA. I graduated with a 5.0 over 5.0 in the university, as Obafemi University in geology. I did this, I did that, I did this, I did. But then you never said anything like your hobbies, at least a little. Said anything about any experience that shows that you are still a human being. Nobody wants a robot in their lab, actually. You understand? People do not like robots, if you do not know, because we already have enough of robots. We have phones, we have laptops, we have everywhere, robots everywhere. So if you are writing as a robot, you would not actually write well. You understand? You're going to be boring. You're going to be really boring. So be human while you're writing your first draft. Now also be yourself. Be yourself. Do not lie. Do not be shady, because there are ways where you lie and then it contradicts information in your profile, in your application page. So be yourself. Just be yourself. Do not write this because Ahmed is writing that. Ahmed is a Muslim, you're a Christian, and you want to write this because he's writing that. Do you understand? Do not, because Ahmed's personality is influenced by his culture, is influenced by his religion. Your personality is also influenced by your culture and your religion. Let everything about you reflect on your SOP. Do not copy people. Then edit and refine your statement. Now, when you're editing and refining your statement, pay attention to instructions from the school or program, example, word count or page count. Then proofread for grammar, spelling, and punctuation. So a speaker earlier on said that you should try and use Grammarly. You understand? Use Grammarly. But apart from Grammarly, you should also proofread very well. Check grammar, check spelling, check punctuations. Then take time to edit. Do not just run into editing like just rough editing and you want to submit 12 a.m. Just calm down. Take your time to edit. Then ask someone you trust. Please let the person be who you trust to proofread. I remember I got one SOP some weeks ago and the lady was like, please, am I sure I could trust this SOP to you? And I asked her, you do not trust me and you sent me your SOP to review. It's foolishness, actually. Someone you do not trust. It's just that simple. Because if SOP becomes a sample SOP, before you apply for a program, you send your SOP to Mr. A, you send your SOP to Mr. B, and you send your SOP to Mr. C. Mr. C uploads the SOP on a group chat, and everybody looks at it as sample SOP. Abiola Akayo. You understand? So your SOP should be like a passport to you. You should not share it anyhow. Share it with people you know. I would even advise, share with only one person, someone you trust. That's all. If the person you trust is actually trusted and you know the person can actually review your SOP, why collect SOP reviews from multiple people? What do you want to do with multiple reviews? In the place of multiple reviews, you can actually get confused. So just send your SOP to someone you can trust with your SOP to proofread for you and take corrections. You understand? Now, so things to avoid while writing SOP. I'm done. Things to avoid writing SOP. Number one, writing generic SOPs. Imagine you're applying to 10 schools, like our earlier speaker said. Safe schools, moderate schools, average schools, top schools, blah, blah, blah. And then you're applying for neurobiology in Stanford University, and you're applying for biological sciences in Oakland University, and you use one SOP for both of them. Using one SOP for both of them would be very bad for your health, in the sense that you do not want to see those two rejections at once. In the sense that if you're using one SOP for two schools, mostly you would not include the names of the school in those SOPs. If you read broadcast, I know how you feel. You do not feel good when you read broadcast. So why write SOPs like broadcast and send it to schools? They would not feel good when reading your SOP. Imagine I'm reading your SOP and I see nothing about Stanford in the SOP. I see nothing about Tennessee in the SOP. I see nothing about the European anything in your SOP. It shows that you did not actually write this SOP for me. You wrote it as a broadcast. And secondly, you should know that these people that are reviewing your SOPs have been doing these things for years. One of the professors that interviewed me at the point, someone just spoiled my screen. Fine. So one of the professors that interviewed me at Tulane University, he has been reviewing SOPs for years and he's retired. And he said that the SOP I submitted was nice and all. And he threw good comments on those SOPs. And he was like, he liked the fact that I did not actually write something that was just generic. Actually, it was not so generic, but I know when you write an SOP, you must make sure it is directed to a school. Once you want to write to another school, you take the SOP, you tweak it a bit, and you send to that school. But no matter how you tweak it, it must be something that when somebody reads it, you will know that, oh, this person loves me. It's just like how you want to write something to two people that you love so much. You would not write broadcast to them. You will just take what you wrote for the first person, you tweak it a bit, and you send it to the second person. That is just fine. Rather than writing generic SOPs. Writing generic SOPs would not get you anywhere. Number two, working on your SOP in the last minute. I've talked about it before. If you wait till a week to your application to submit your SOPs, you will most likely write funny SOPs. With funny, I mean, you get the word. So your SOPs will not be good, you understand? So if you do not write your SOPs over a stretch of time, giving yourself time to relax, giving your brain time to boot, experiences to load, you understand? That's why most of them that write SOPs, most people that write SOPs in last minute, when I don't submit it, they say, oh, I forgot to submit this. Oh, I forgot to submit that, and stuff like that. So you have to write your SOP over a stretch of time. Now, 3, exceeding the set word count. Like I said before, if I am reviewing any SOP, I'm very sincere with you. If I'm reviewing any SOP and I'm reviewing 200 SOPs and I'm picking only 3 people for that slot, I'm reviewing 200 people. If I see anybody with 1,001 words and I gave a set count of 1,000, I'm going to throw the SOP to the side. I'm not going to review it. It's not wickedness. It's just that time is not there. They don't have the time. You understand? They're going to throw that SOP into the dustbin. So next, including irrelevant or contradictory information. So do not include irrelevant information like you play midfield, you play bowling and you were the best in bowling. No? Like some info are not relevant, or you try to make your SOP so dramatic. I come from a very poor family. We can't eat more than once in a day. We starve all the time. We only drink gari. It's not necessary. You can actually write something that would demonstrate that you are in need of financial aid without giving some funny statements like, we know they see what with the chop. Some things are not necessary. It's just irrelevant. Do not put it in your SOP. Do not be too emotional. Don't write. If you are trying to apply for a position, you must not spoil it by, don't be a typical, you get. So don't spoil things for yourself. Then excessive flattery. Don't flatter them too much. When you are flattered too much, so an admissions person that has been reviewing SOP for years should also know. If a guy is flattering a lady so much, the lady should know unless she's dumb. If a girl is flattering a guy too much, the guy should know unless he's dumb. So if you are flattering the admissions committee or the department too much, they would know unless they are dumb. And it's very hard for you to see a dumb admissions committee. So you do not have to flatter them excessively. Number 6, weak introductions or conclusions. I've talked about that. Number 7, dwelling too much on your weaknesses. Okay, you have a 2-2. You dwell on that for the majority of the SOP. It's because I did not save money to buy books. It's because I did not go to the library. I had leg problem. I had this problem. Family people were chasing me. That's why I had a low CGPA. You are dwelling on your weaknesses too much. You do not give them opportunities to see your strengths. Yes, your SOP is a good way of highlighting your weaknesses or points. Like I know in my SOP, in a way, I highlighted that I didn't have enough research experience, but I also highlighted that I had the urge to learn. And with learning, I already took some Coursera courses. I took up to 15 Coursera courses. I'm already involved in bioinformatics. I'm already involved in programming. Although I've already highlighted a little of my weaknesses, but I've used that weakness to show a strength that I'm willing to learn, I'm willing to study. But then when you highlight all your weaknesses up to down and everything is showing that, oh, this person is really suffering, or will this person actually survive? Oh God, you get that kind of thing. So do not just stress on your weaknesses. Then number 8, using informal languages or slangs. Even if you want to use slangs, let's see the slangs that are academic. Slangs that you can put in quotes. You can't put mado in quotes. Nobody understands mado. You understand? So I know you can't write that, but I'm just trying to say that as informal as you may want to sound, because people would advise you that your SOP should be between formal and informal. So you understand? So as informal as you think you may want to sound, do not be too informal. You're writing to a committee. You want something from them. So you have to be as formal and as closely informal as you want to be. Then writing in the passive voice. Please do not write in the passive voice. Do not write in the passive voice. Write in the active voice. Do not write your research as, you know how we write our research in school? The agar was then put inside an agar bottle, and then after that it was put in an autoclave. No, write it like, I put the agar in an agar bottle, and then I removed it and put it in an autoclave. That is active voice. You're writing because you are the one doing the action. That is the best way to write your SOP. Then conclusion. Thank you very much. So I would like to conclude by saying you have complete control over your statement of purpose. You can let it fly, but just be sure that you are a good pilot. Then bye for now. So my references from Grad School Success Stories and Northeastern University, and then Graduate School Admissions Essay by Donald Asha. Thank you very much. Take care.
Oh, Haniel, I can't find the words. So this has been very insightful and very funny too. I mean, all your examples are really hilarious, but they are the truth. Because I'm sure some of us have seen some SOPs and you'd be like, oh, really? Why is this person putting this here? Or maybe the person is like, I really need to get this opportunity because UAR is on fire, like someone said in the chat. So this has been very, very great. I must apologize to people in the audience. Thank you for staying with us till this time. We'll round up soon. We'll just take the questions that you already have, you've put in the chat or ask Anya. So someone is asking, so if I want to do I have to write 10 SOPs for 10 applications? What advice do you have for the person?
Okay, so yes, you are writing 10 SOPs for 10 applications, yes. But you can write one, just like I said. Then when you are writing to the other 9, what I do is there's a way you can structure your SOP such that the introduction will be similar, will be the same. You're not changing the introduction. You're not also changing the conclusion. But the body, that is where you now change the body. There are paragraphs you should change. Paragraphs that include the professor's name you want to work with. Paragraphs that include the school's name, the state you are going to, the town, the city. So those specific info about the school, that is where you change. And the research interest too, because you can be applying for, let's say, neurobiology at Harvard, and then you're applying for biological sciences at Oakland. Don't make that mistake of sending the neuro to Oakland. Change that research interest also. So that's just what you do. You write a good one, then you tweak it to fit the other one. So that's what you do for the 10, and you'll be fine.
Great. Thank you so much for that. Someone is asking, what's the difference between SOP, personal statement, and motivation letter?
Okay, from personal experience, I would say 3 of them are the same thing, because schools just use it. They use those words loosely. So, but what I would say is SOP is statement of purpose. Personal statement is personal statement. Motivation statement. Okay. SOP is like, I feel they are the same thing, but then your personal statement is more of yourself. SOP is yourself and the program. Personal statement is more about yourself. Sometimes schools will demand a personal statement and an SOP. Personal statements also have shorter word counts, and motivation letters also have shorter word counts. But some schools can use those words interchangeably, in the sense that they will tell you to write a motivation letter that will state your motivation for that program, why you want that program, and what you would add to that program. So that's already showing characteristics of an SOP. So motivation letter, personal statement, and SOP, to me, they're all the same thing, depending on who's asking for it. So that's my answer for that question. Thank you.
Okay, great. And I'll also refer you to our ebook. So we actually talked about the subtle difference between a statement of purpose and the personal statement. So you see, you need to get that book and go through it. And don't forget to leave us a comment on our social media page about the book, and also share your win. So there is another question. this will be the last question before we do a quick panel session with our facilitators. Okay, SOP. Okay. Is it fine to state some of our academic achievements in the SOP?
If you are to state your sure, you can state your academic achievements in your SOP, or do not just overstress that, because you can actually use your CV for that. What I would actually tell people to do is do not include information you can actually include in your CV. SOP is like, it's top notch. It should be something that your prized possession. You can put anything in that CV, but then that SOP is not everything you can put. So you get the point. So use your SOP to stress points that you know would pitch you forward. You understand? Points that, oh, like I remember when I was applying to a school and then I had an interview. The person that interviewed me was like, how did I manage to do Coursera courses? Looking at the fact that Coursera courses can be really expensive. I told the man that I applied for financial aid, and I was like, whoa, actually, he checked my LinkedIn page and he saw that I have done many Coursera courses and I applied for all. I told him yes. It was like, what he said sincerely was, do I survive for just like me? And then he started telling me stories about himself. You understand? So your SOP should highlight things that your CV will just touch a little. So your achievements can be written in lines in your CV, but you can just pick a few out of those achievements that are relevant to the position you are applying to and stress it a little in your SOP, and then voila, you give it to them like that. So that's it, yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Aniel. So Samuel, Afiz, Aniel, thank you so much for this insightful session. So everyone in the audience, please let us know what your thoughts are so far about the session we've had today. Again, I apologize for every technical issue where we've faced, and we'll make sure that doesn't happen tomorrow. So we're just going to run through like have a very short panel session with Samuel, Afiz, and Aniel. So please put the questions you like to ask them in the chat. I'm just going to ask the first 5 questions. So my questions for you, I'll start with Afiz. Afiz, are you there? So Afiz, the interesting fact about you is you got your first offer in November 2020. This is before so many application deadlines in December, January, and the like. What do you think, or how did you achieve this? I think you can unmute if I'm correct. Afiz, are you there?
Yes.
Okay, great. Did you hear my question?
Yes, I did. I did.
Okay. So please,
right.
we want to know the secret.
Okay. I think after my GRE and my TOEFL exam.
And we might want you to cut so
after my standardized text examination, so I started reaching out to faculty members, like I mentioned. So I was like I say, fortunate to see a supervisor that was willing to take me in. And, it was even what, like, I think I shared it in my slide. He wanted me to resume spring 2021, but I kind of like declined that. I would like to wait for fall 2021. So he encouraged me to submit my application on time. So, and which I did. And luckily for me, I think that was early November. My admission came in, and my funding details followed since January. So it was, I would say, the effect of cold emailing. Yeah, because that was like the most important part. If I had not secured the professor earlier, then maybe the admission would have been very fast like that.
Awesome, Afis. Thank you for sharing. This highlights the importance of cold emailing or emailing prospective supervisors. They're not responding. Try to email the next person. So like I said, if you have questions for them, please put it in the chat. We'll be asking the first 5 questions. So Samuel, in your interesting fact, I see you started this journey in 2016 and to 2021. I don't know, how did you keep up the energy, the motivation, that resilient spirit? And then this year you got, I think you got more than 3 fully funded offers. What is this secret, if any?
All right, Faida, thank you very much. I think one thing I want to emphasize on is that you can only get better and better. You understand? So you look at the places you had flaws. You look at. I told us that while I was going through my own slides, that one of the issues I have was I did not kick off the application on time. So I know that was a flaw on my own part. Another thing again was that I could not break the application process into bits. Like, okay, after this, you get this, after this, you get this, after this, you go for this. So I was able to spread it out, divide it into phases, and then, set timelines for everything. And then, I begin to attack each phase squarely. So the point is, you can only get better. Your now should be better than your yesterday, and then the tomorrow should be better than now. All right, in between, I dropped, and then I had to go for masters here in Nigeria. So you're in between. For example, if you feel that your research experience, you have flaws in your research experience, do well to publish your papers, have publications. Okay, I added to some of the publications, to the publications I had. I know my undergraduate was published, so I added, I had other publications. And so the point is, just do well to build up on your strength, and to augment your weaknesses. You have to fill up those flaws. So that is just the little secret I have, or the little tips I would like to share as far as my experience is concerned.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, Aniel, thank you again for the very wonderful session. What do you think made your grad school application stand out?
Okay. My grad school application was fun, but I know what made my grad school application stand out was my doggedness with the whole cancer research thing. Like, I was so interested in cancer research that I I took online courses. I started courses on bioinformatics, started courses on Python programming just to analyze genes and all. And also I talk to people, like I listen to people. I remember when I was having rejections and all, I kept on asking people like what's going on. So it's that was what made my application actually stand out, because they gave me corrections that I was able to stick to, and my applications came out well. Also, the experiences I got online from the courses I took online were so very relevant to what I did. And just like how some people call publications and all, I didn't actually have a publication except one that was in review. But I took a review with some of my friends, 3 of my friends, where we reviewed some a virus and some cancers in Africa. The review was not published, but I mentioned it in my SOP that I took this review, and most of the interviews I had, they kept on asking me about this review because the topic was really important to them. And I think that also made my application stand out. So the online courses I took, the experiences I got from those online courses, my teaching experience, and this review paper, I think that was what made my application stand out, as well as my GRE score and CGPA majorly.
Okay, that's very, very awesome. Thank you for sharing that. So, Kola Wole Samson, I see you raising your hand. Please just put the question or your comments in the chat. So someone, Hubert is asking, please, okay, I don't know, it's a request. I would be grateful if you could help me review my SOP. I don't know who you're directing this one at. Please put the name there. The person will respond. Mumin is asking, as much as I'd want to apply soon for a master's scholarship, there's also NYSC coming up. What do you advise? So most times, a lot of people actually do all this grad school application and the whole process during NYSC. So please shoot the application you want to or make the application you want to put in for and get it. Sometimes you could be able to defer or something, but please make that short. Start as early as possible. So yeah, I think that's pretty much everything. I'm sorry if we did not answer your question. Please just maybe you should ask again now or tomorrow, and maybe by tomorrow I would also, based on your feedback, would know whether to have an extra 1 hour session where we just answer every single question you have for us. So please, for everyone asking about the recording, this is live or it's been streamed to our YouTube channel. So once we are done with this, you can always access it on our YouTube channel. Our YouTube page name is small letter I hyphen scholar, I scholar initiative. So you'd find us there with our very beautiful logo. And please make sure you follow our social media pages. We actually share a lot of content relating to grad school application, which I believe they would be very, very useful for you. And even tonight, it would be great. It would be great for you to let us know your thoughts on this session. Please tag us on Twitter about your thoughts on this session. It was good. Please tag us because this could sort of be some motivation and encouragement for us. Our Twitter page is at iScholar. Okay, I already typed it there. I'll type it again. Don't forget to follow us. Don't forget to. I'm sorry, who's trying to record? Please don't record. Yes. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on LinkedIn and Facebook and Twitter, and yes, download our ebook. It's a very, very good resource for you. So I would want anyone who would just like to give a feedback on today's session, maybe 2 people. Oh, Twitter has been banned. I totally forgot that because I actually didn't know. I don't use Twitter that much. So yes, I'd like to get feedback from 2 people. You can raise your hand if you want to speak. Let's know the comments, feedback you have for us. Thank you. Then we can wrap up the session. Okay, I see a lot of people raising their hands. So okay. Okay, so who is speaking first? Omo Eb. Oh, I'm so sorry. Please, can you pronounce your name for me? Thank you.
Yeah, it's nice you're not attempting to pronounce because that would have ended a disastrous one. My name is Omo Ibamiji Oluwaseun.
Okay.
So good evening, everyone. I would like to start by thanking each and every of the speakers. We have been immensely blessed, and I must say that the session has been such a wonderful one. Of course, I myself, I personally, start this feeling now of how I wish I were in my final year already. Then I will just journey on with this story. I'm still a sophomore student, anyways, but I must, thank each and every one of you for putting in efforts into showing us the way back which you people were able to, make it up to where you are right now. And once again, thank you, thank you, thank you. God bless.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Oluwaseun. I must really commend you because I think you mentioned you're not in final year yet, and then you are in this session. I mean, I don't know. That is really outstanding. Really, really outstanding. Keep it up, and definitely you achieve all your dreams.
Amen. Thank you.
Great.
Hello, good evening.
Yes, good evening. We can hear you.
Okay, I would like to. I'm currently on the road. Like, I actually didn't want to miss this section. I would actually like to thank the people that organized the stuff. I actually gained a lot of things. And the thing is, I think I actually applied to a school, I think this fall, but then I only got admitted but no funding. But then I've been gingered, especially from Anya, about the online courses, things he did and all. So right now, I think I'll just be strategic about applying for 2022. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Like, I really did enjoy this section. Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, and just like you said, you need to be strategic. So by God's grace, you're going to achieve all your dreams. And I hope you share with us when you get your win. You tag us on our social media pages so that we can celebrate you too. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you so much.
Taufik. Oh, I see a lot of people want to speak. Whoa. Taufik, if you're not speaking, someone else is going to speak. Okay, Abdul Kadir Usman. Okay, if you do not unmute, someone else will.
Yes, I've unmute.
Okay.
Yeah, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I really cherish this session. It was wonderful, and I've done a lot of things. I've added to what I know before. I'm a graduate of 2016, and I've been trying to gain admission into a university in US or UK since last 2 years, but up to now I've not gotten. I don't know whether it's because of my profession. I'm a veterinarian, so it has been very difficult for me to gain admission. But I'll keep on trying, and I'll keep on attending lectures like this to gain more experience and added some things. Thank you very much. Thank the organization, High Scholar Initiative. We thank you. We're very grateful. Thank you.
Amazing. Just like you said, you will keep trying. Please do not give up. I'm sure you've seen Samuel also since 2016. So don't worry, delay is not denial. You're still going to get it, and we
it's like
cannot
we
wait to
graduated from the
celebrate
same
you.
school.
And it is
It's
not about
mandatory.
your course, veterinary.
Yes.
Oh, you finished from the same school. Interesting. And I want to let you know it's not about your course, veterinary medicine. Maybe there is something you need to change. Probably in your search, you're just looking for professors in veterinary medicine, but it might not be as direct as that. You need
Sorry,
to
I have
be
a request.
strategic.
I have a request, please. I don't know if you can join Badmos Aziz, please. Then we send in email to.
Please connect with him on LinkedIn. I'm sure he would accept your connection.
All right, I'll do that. Thank you very much.
Yes. Andrew. Okay, if you're not going to speak,
good evening,
you're speaking. Good evening,
everyone. Good evening, everyone. I don't know if you guys can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. So I'm very glad to be here. Like some few hours ago, and I decided to join. And then I checked your website. I saw the whole idea of the High Scholar Initiative, and I saw it was good. So I decided to join. And since I joined for the close to an hour now, it has been of good help to me. Although I missed some parts during when the guy was giving SOP because of I had network issues, but it has really been of good help to me since I'm in my 100 level and I'm getting to know about this. I think it will help me to aspire more. Because before now, I've always dreamt of studying outside the country, but after my SSC, it was not possible. So I just decided to, okay, accept my admission here in Nigeria and then continue, if possible, after my study here in Nigeria and go outside the country. And I'm glad to know these things. And I'm also glad that because last year during the lockdown, I did some courses on Coursera, but I was not so serious in it because I didn't see the need for it. I was just doing it, okay, just to kill time. But since I attended the seminar and from what that guy has said, I really need to put effort into my Coursera courses and the courses I'm taking here in school so that to help me have better chances and aspire higher for this thing. Thank you guys for this seminar. I think you guys should keep it on so that others will be aware of it, and we'll try our best to invite our friends so that they can know more about this. Thank you guys very, very much. I'm sincerely grateful. So
Wow. Wow. You've sort of left me speechless because you said you're in 100 level. 100 level. I mean, this is some sort of motivation for me because I must tell you, kudos. Thank you for attending the session because if I knew many of these things that they've been saying while I was in 100 level, I feel there would have been something different about me. So keep it up and keep up with your Coursera course. Keep up with every single thing that you believe could help you. You might not see it now, but in the future, you just realize that, oh, I'm so glad I did this at that time. It is very useful now. So keep it up. And like you said, please tell your friends, invite your friends, everyone, please let everyone in your school know about iScholar Initiative. We'll continue to do programs that would help everyone as much as possible. You could even put it in the chat what you want our next program to be. Would organize one for you. Kolawole Samson, you can unmute now. I've been asking you to unmute since. Okay.
Okay. Hello.
Yes, hello.
Yeah. Good evening, everyone. Yeah. Thank you so much. I actually joined late because I'm in my place of work and I have network issues at the same time. So I just want to thank the organizers. I've really learned a lot. I've learned a lot. More especially the presentation of Hanel. I seriously learned a lot from it. And you guys are really doing a good job. More grace to your elbow. Thanks so much and welcome.
Wow.
Hello.
Thank you. And we're so glad we found the session valuable. Sadiq, I've asked you to unmute before. Okay.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah.
Can hear
First
you.
and foremost,
Yeah.
I would like to thank the organizer of this webinar. I really learned a lot of things there. Though I joined lately and the network was bad, I joined towards the end of the program. So I really appreciate. This year I got admission to University of Alabama with no funding. I was told that there is funding for only PhD and not for MSc. So I'm looking forward to 2022 fall. I have different questions which I would like to ask tomorrow. By God grace, I really appreciate you guys. You are doing a great job. Thank you so much.
Okay. Great. Thank you. We're glad you found the session very valuable. How speak? Yeah. You can unmute. Been asking you to unmute. Are you there? Okay. So I think he's not there. So I would just say thank you again for attending the session and staying with us for the past, I don't know how many hours. So, and by God's grace, all your efforts would be crowned with the very best success. So don't forget to join us tomorrow by 4:30 p.m. Would be walking through acing the GRE what some people call almighty GRE, TOEFL, your academic CV, and acing grad school interviews, and particularly fostering relationships with those prospective supervisors that give you positive response from now till you receive your ad next year. To encourage your pages, leave a comment or your thoughts about this session today and tag us. Download our ebook, share your success stories with us. We cannot wait to celebrate you. So from me, Faida.